Right, not long to go now at all until Celtic return back to action. In fact, by the next time that I do one of these videos, Neil Lennon's first team squad will have played another match, and boy, has it been a long wait since they last played. It is a way back in mid-March when we faced St Mirren at Celtic Park. We won that one 5-0. You may recall that Lee Griffiths scored a hat-trick in that one, but so much has happened since then. Obviously, the vast majority of it away from football, but even in terms of Scottish football, so much has happened off the pitch. But it will be good to have Celtic back. The game arrives on Thursday evening, a 5:15pm kickoff. That's Scottish time for the game against French top-flight side Nice in France, of course. Following that, a couple of days later, we get the Moussa Dembele reunion when we take on Olympique Lyonnais. That one is a 7:45 kickoff, Saturday night, as I say. And then Tuesday night, we play the biggest and best team in France for the last decade or so. It's PSG, Tuesday evening, 6pm, to watch Celtic go up against the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani, etc. So much to look forward to. Worth pointing out that all three of our games in France are going to be broadcast by Premier Sports. A lot of Celtic fans will probably have Premier Sports due to them holding the rights for the Scottish Cup and League Cup, so should be no problems there. And if you've not got Premier Sports and you want to get it for these three matches, the added bonus is that the broadcasters have already promised that they will be broadcasting the first three rounds of Champions League qualifiers that we play. Obviously that depends on us getting that far, but if we get the first, second and third qualifying rounds, all matches will be on Premier Sports. And it's worth reminding you that all of those matches will be one-off ties, so they could be in Glasgow or they could be dotted around Europe. So much to get excited about on the pitch. However, there's still transfer news to get excited about off the pitch, and that's the subject of today's video. Now, in recent days, the name Shon Weissman has been mentioned in dispatches about a possibility of him coming to Celtic. The story regarding this one originated from the strikers club Wolfsberger, not Wolfsburg and not Wolves, but the Austrian version of that side. Their chairman came out and specifically mentioned Celtic as being one of the clubs who were said to be interested in the 24-year-old Israeli. Now, for balance, it's worth pointing out that shortly after that, Celtic then rejected this notion, said that there was nothing in it at this stage. However, you are pondering the question, why would the Wolfsberger chairman mention us by name? Maybe he's just trying to drum up interest for his player, but it seems a bit strange to mention Celtic specifically, along with, I think he said, English and German clubs as well. So Celtic are probably in the market for another striker at the moment. I don't know that for certain, but just a look at our ranks up top tells you, obviously Odsonne Edouard's going to be a number one striker next season. Patrick Klimala and Vakun Bayo are both massively unproven. They probably only had, half a dozen appearances between the two of them last season. We don't yet know totally about Vakun Bayo. Klimala, even more of an unknown commodity. So time will tell whether they will feature much this season. I wouldn't be massively surprised to see one or maybe even both of them go out on loan. Also added to that, a bit of drama stories. Never seems to be too far away from Lee Griffiths, and that has been the case over the last week or so. Reports that he wasn't quite in tip-top condition when returning to Celtic training, and he's been left in Scotland effectively for now. So there's all that usual chat about the future of Lee Griffiths. I don't want to go too into it, and the fact that many are saying that that's the final chance for him and his Celtic career could now be over. I think he'll be back again, because the way he started last year, I'd be surprised if he didn't still have a big part in Neil Lennon's plans. But we probably could still do with bringing in another striker to supplement Edouard, especially if Neil Lennon's looking to play two up top, as he did for the vast majority of the second half of last season. Born on Valentine's Day in 1996, it's fair to say that Weissman is adored by the fans of Wolfsberger, who he plays for in the Austrian top flight. Now, just to give you an idea, Wolfsberger finished third in the Austrian Bundesliga, and they were also in the Europa League for the season just past. More on that in a wee minute. But this was Weissman's first season. He signed with them last summer, and he had an incredible campaign. He scored 30 league goals in 31 matches, which is a pretty incredible record, probably not matched by many other forwards around Europe, maybe other than Lewandowski. but a totally amazing record. Added to that, in the Cups, he scored 5 and 3, and even in the aforementioned Europa League, he netted 2 goals in Wolfsburger's 4-0 away win to Borussia Mönchengladbach, a credible result. He netted the first goal in Germany that night, and he also scored away to AS Roma. So he scored against 2 teams from 2 of the biggest leagues in Europe there, so he clearly has some sort of pedigree. Goes without saying, obviously scoring 30 goals in 31 league matches, that he finished top scorer in the Austrian Bundesliga last season. He was 6 goals ahead of second place, and he also even scored more goals in the first half of the season than Erling Haaland, who was obviously the big, I think, £20 million departure in winter from RB Salzburg to Borussia Dortmund. So even when Dortmund paid £20 million for Haaland, he was still behind Weissman in the scoring chart. So I know there's more to scoring goals, but it just gives an idea of how prolific this guy is. Weissman hadn't played too much football prior to his move to Austria. The move to Wolfsburg came about mainly because of his form for Israeli side Maccabi Haifa. He scored 8 goals in 13 games for them the season prior to last one. He also played for a couple of other Israeli teams, including Netanya and Kiryat Shimona. And he had decent scoring records for them as well, but it was in small batches. It was a small sample size. Not as if he played 40, 50 games for these clubs. It was, a handful of matches. But it does seem like he likes to score goals wherever he goes. One level that he hasn't quite conquered yet is international football. Now, it's worth saying he's only got 4 caps for the Israeli national team, but he's yet to score there. However, he may well fancy his chances of breaking his duck in one of the many games that his country has coming up against Scotland. Obviously, Celtic pair Nir Bitton and Hatem El Hamed, also part of the Israeli side, that will face Scotland in Euro 2020 playoff, as well as twice in the UEFA Nations League. So a great opportunity for Weissman to get off to a scoring start for Israel against Scotland in any of those 3 matches. And it is also good that if he did move to Celtic, he would have a couple of international teammates there. Could that help to sway the deal? Not sure, but the main point on Weissman is that he likes to score goals, and he's scored at pretty much every level he's played at so far. So what is the verdict on the potential of Weissman moving to Scotland? Well, I would personally absolutely love this move to happen. I think that viewpoint shared by the vast majority of Celtic fans probably watching this. You only have to look at his scoring charts to realise that this guy nets goals and he loves scoring goals. He's totally prolific. I've already read out some of the numbers there, most notably from this season. He effectively scored more goals than games he played in, which is almost unheard of anywhere in Europe. But sometimes, deals seem a little bit too good to be true, and I do worry a little bit about this. If he's so good and he's scoring so many goals, which he obviously is, then surely some of the big teams in the big leagues will be most interested in him. And obviously a player like that, he's probably going to prefer to move to Germany or Italy or something like that, as opposed to Scotland. However, obviously we can offer him the possibility of Champions League football, but you just wonder what kind of fee he's going to go for, especially given his scoring record, and even more so given the fact that there's been a couple of big name players have left Austria in recent seasons, albeit the vast majority of them from RB Salzburg. But the league is getting a good reputation. You think back to Haaland, who I mentioned earlier, and also Takumi Minamino, who obviously left Salzburg for Liverpool. So the league's getting a good reputation. That could possibly drive Weissman's sale price up, and in a summer when we don't know how much Celtic are going to spend or how much money we're going to have to spend, then this could be a tough one to see completed. But as I say, I'd love to see it happen. Look in his YouTube videos and you can get a compilation of some of his goals. The player that most springs to mind when I see Weissman scoring goals is Gary Hooper. He likes scoring these goals, tap-ins, almost easy goals, not like Edward would or not even like Griffiths would, albeit those two do still score tap-ins from time to time. But Weissman's a penalty box striker, and we perhaps could do with that at the moment in a season when we're going to have to try and win every single match in the league if we can, to do our best, not give any encouragement to our rivals across the city. So yeah, I really would love to see this deal happen, but I do have my reservations over whether A, we're going to be able to afford it, and B, whether he's going to want to move to Scotland if he's got so much interest given how many goals he scored. But would love to see it happen, as I say, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that by the end of the summer Celtic could have this one over the line.